Hi everybody. Today I just thought I'd do a video on my LPs, which I've always felt had a bit of a Beatlesque feel, or at least reminded me of the Beatles when I heard it. Starting off with the Monkees, of course. No real need for explanation on this one. This is a greatest hits album. I think I bought this one in the 70s, late 70s or thereabouts. Every track as a winner. Fantastic stuff. Very Beatley, that one. Moving on, Harry Nilsson. That one is his first album from 1969, and it's even got Mother Nature's Son there. So often referred to as the missing Beatle. Nilsson can count his fans as the Beatles, no less. So I've got a couple of them. I've got that one, and also The Points, which was I think this was some sort of from some little movie, animated movie, if I remember rightly. These are the songs from The Point. Very Beatley, of course. And then we've got Pussycats, which was produced by Mr. John Lennon, no less. There he is on the cover. Not a fantastic LP, really, one must be honest. You would have expected better, really, but I think it was in John's long lost weekend period, so I think we were onto a bit of a loser with this one, really, from the start. There's some reasonable songs there, but I think the most interesting one would be possibly would it be Many Rivers to Cross? I think he used the same arrangement there as John's song Number 9 Dream. So actual song listing looks quite good, and I think it's got Subterranean Homesick Blues, Rock Around the Clock. Ringo's on this album too, so it's a good collector's item, really, but not one of my favourite albums, and not one that I play very often. Moving on, we've got Booker T and the MGs. Now what does that cover remind you of? Yeah, this is actually an instrumental version of Abbey Road. There we go. And then we got the only problem with this one is the song titles don't flow in the same order as the Beatles did, so I would have preferred that, really. Back cover's similar, with the young lady walking past there. Good album. Yeah, Macklemore Avenue, Booker T and the MGs. And we've got Badfinger, No Dice, on the Apple label. Very much a Beatley album, this one. Got Love Me Do, but it isn't the Lennon McCartney Love Me Do, it's their own version. Midnight Caller's very, very much a Beatles type song. Without You, similar. And very good album indeed. The big song on here was No Matter What. And also, I suppose Without You is a big song. It became a big song. Harry Nilsson did his version and took it into the UK charts around about 73, I think, or thereabouts. So that's Badfinger. Okay, Fold Sleeve, No Dice. Bit of a tragic story to that band. Right, moving on into the later 70s, we've got The Jam there. I've got two albums there which I've decided to show. All Mod Cons and Sound Effects. From Sound Effects, we've got a song there called Start there. Very much like Taxman. Altogether though, it's you can hear Revolver throughout this album. I think the band were listening to Revolver at the time, so it shows lots of backwards guitars, and it's a very similar feel as Revolver. Great album though, great album, as is this one, All Mod Cons. Side 2, track 2, It's Too Bad, got a similar melody to In Parts to She Loves You. But there's also influences from The Who and the Kinks on this album too. So we've got the Kinks, Beatles and Who there. Very, very good influences. This was from 78. This one was from a bit early in the 70s, 10cc, this is their first album. Very 50s feel to this one. Donna there, track 2, very much reminded me at the time of Oh Darling from Abbey Road. But Beatley in its approach, 4 singers and 4 songwriters, so that's sort of that in common with the Beatles. Next we've got Electric Light Orchestra from 78, Out of the Blue, double album. Jeff Lynne led this band at this period. We all know about Jeff Lynne producing the Beatles' Free as a Bird and Real Love. Jeff Lynne is a big Beatles fan himself, so plenty of Beatle references on this album. Moving on to Class Who, their first album. Famous track there, Calling Occupants of Interplanetary Craft, which the Carpenters covered. Had a hit with that one. Very Beatle-y, very many Beatle influences on this one. One thing to say is this wasn't the Beatles, as many people thought it might have been at the time. Moving on, we've got the Rutles. You all know about the Rutles. Eric Idle's film, featuring George Harrison, Mick Jagger, doing a spoof documentary on the Beatles. And this is the result of that. Very good album, this one, really. If you like the Beatles, you'll like this one. Excellent stuff. Yeah. Shabby Road. Okay, so that's the Rutles there. The Rutles story is a legend, a living legend. Will live a lifetime. Certainly will. Okay, moving on, we've got the Shoes with an album called Black Vinyl Shoes. This is a very lo-fi album indeed. I think this was sort of a demo what turned out to be the proper record. So it's good. This came out in the late 70s too. Got a Beatle-y feel to it. Very good. I think they got the name The Shoes from a quote by John Lennon when John was asked if why he named the group the Beatles, and he says, well, we could have been anything really. We could have been the Shoes. So there you go. That's where we got the name from. And then we got Deface the Music by Todd Rundgren's Utopia. Clearly a Beatles influenced album, this one. Similar cover to the second Beatles album in the UK with the Beatles. So it sort of covers, it goes through the Beatles style from beginning to end. Good album. Jerry Rafferty, City to City. Very much influenced by maybe Paul McCartney more than anything. Track there, right down the line, it could have come off Paul's first album easily. But he's not really stealing McCartney, it's just a style. Very much a McCartney style. And of course the big hit on this album was Baker Street. Okay, we're into the early 80s now. This young band called Haircut 100. Some Beatle tracks on this one. Fantastic Day, that was one of the big hits. That's got some nice harmonies there, reminiscent of the Beatles. Don't really hear of these people these days, but I think this fellow there, Nick Hayward, he was the main guy. He's the main songwriter, and he went on to have a few solo hits after the band finished. So now we've got Squeeze with East Side Story. Squeeze contained two brilliant songwriters, Chris Difford and Glenn Tilbrook, and at the time they were very often compared to Lennon and McCartney. Very much a Beatle influenced album, but they've got their own style. They're not stealing anything from the Beatles. They've just got that Beatle influence. So, and then we're moving right up to date now. We've got two Squeeze albums there, Cradle to the Grave and The Knowledge. The Knowledge came out in 2018. Cradle to the Grave was 2015, I think, or thereabouts. Excellent album. Now, what does that remind you of then, people? Yeah, Say No More, another Beatles influenced album there. Two excellent later period Squeeze albums, which I would heartily recommend. Excellent songwriting and excellent singing all the way through. Absolutely fantastic, both of these albums. And we got The Knowledge and also Cradle to the Grave. Cradle to the Grave was actually a TV series, and Squeeze did the music to the TV series, and that's where this LP is coming from. Okay, last but not least, coming up to 2018, we've got this album by Danny Wilkerson. Now, much is being said about this on YouTube. Excellent album. One of the best. Probably it's got to be in the top 5 albums of 2018. Absolutely brilliant. The production is great, the playing is great, the singing is great, the songwriting is great. Everything is absolutely superb. Excellently produced and engineered by I don't know how to pronounce this. Blair. He's the producer and the engineer on this one. But absolutely fantastic album. There's the inner sleeve. A certain band is shown there. So Danny Wilkerson is showing us right away who he is influenced by. Lovely stuff. There's Danny there. Okay. Excellent album, this one. Can't recommend this one enough. Also, when I ordered this one, I also got a handwritten note from Danny. So, because I'm in the UK, Danny's in the States, I just asked him if he could do me any sort of discount on the postage, because it was working out very, very expensive for an LP. I didn't really know. And Danny very kindly reduced some of the postage out of his own pocket to enable me to hear this album. So thank you, Danny, for that one. Okay, so that was Danny Wilkerson, the Wilkerson album. Urge anybody just to check this one out. It is excellent. I've got 3 damn good albums there. I've got the 2 Squeeze ones and the Wilkerson. I've got a few CDs here. The Smithereens, they're clearly influenced by the Beatles. This is actually a collection of B-sides, which they do really, really well. This is a recommendation too. Excellent. You've got Oasis there, definitely Maybe. Clearly, they were clearly influenced by the Beatles. There's no way you can miss the Beatle influence with these people. Then we got Teenage Fan Club, Grand Prix. and we've got Crowded House there, Together Alone. So that's just a few CDs. I've probably got loads more, but I'll be here all night describing those. So just want to show Wilkerson again, just to make sure you've all got that one. Excellent. Right, so that then is a selection of my Beatlesque albums. So they've got there's some influence there somewhere. Not always clear, not always obvious, but it's there somewhere. Okay, people, so we'll sign off from here, and thanks for viewing my albums, and we'll speak again soon. Okay, bye bye.